forget again. But the important thing is, if you treat this situation, and you guys know this, if you treat this situation like a diet, you're going to follow the same diet patterns you always have. So then what is the difference between what we're doing and a diet, honestly? And I'm sure some of you guys have thought that too. Well, like if I have restrictions and I have parameters and I can't be eating whatever I want, it's a diet, right? And I'll usually be the one to be like, no, this is a lifestyle. So today's subject is so that I can explain to you guys how it becomes a life. I don't know why that came out so powerful. I was like, how that becomes a lifestyle. Because that's the real tricky part. And when you learn this, it stops becoming overwhelming to plan when to cook, what to go shopping for, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. All of that extra stress going on when you adopt a few simple principles kind of just goes away. And you're able to just live your life and be happy and not think about food all the time. So, okay. Now, you guys see intuitive eating all over the place online. You know, Alyssa, I love your cat. Every time he comes in the picture, I get so happy. But, you know, everybody's always talking about intuitive eating. And maybe you guys have seen on Instagram those accounts that are like the anti-diet. And you're probably like, what? You know, because a lot of the stuff I say is similar in that if you're very restricted, you're going to binge. If you sit there and focus so much on being perfect or being strict or not enjoying life because God forbid you eat a freaking slice of pizza, it's like the end of all the work you put in, right? I don't believe in any of that. I think it's crap. And you know that my philosophy is it takes however long it takes. It's not the most important thing, because if we try to rush it, it's not going to happen or it's not going to last. So what the hell's the point, right? So now where does that turn into the way you eat? How many of you guys still have stuff? And now this is with the exception of significant others' preferences of food in the house. Obviously, they have a say on the food that's in their home, like what they're going to eat. But for you and for your kids even, right? How many of you guys still have the things lying around that are still very tempting, that are still not what you know is right for your inflammation, for your body, for your hormones, but somehow on personal discipline, you're just going to walk by it every day and be like, I don't need that. Isn't that like the great pipe dream that everyone has, right? Our cabinets are still the same as they've always been. Our fridge is the same as it's always been, but somehow we're expected not to live as we've always been. That's the breakdown. It's hard to accept at first that you do need to overhaul some things, because it forces you to recognize that you're in this spot right now, which sucks. Like other people don't have to worry about this stuff. And I get that. Right. So having to I'm on my computer way too much. Having to throw out the stuff that really tempts you, but you know hurts you. It's like recognizing that you're not in control enough to avoid those things. It becomes like this internal power struggle of like, I'm not going to be the fat girl that has to throw away her sweets, you know, because I've been there. That's why I'm saying that now. I was like, I've been in that spot where I'm like, I'll be fine. No. The first chance you get to justify it, it's getting justified. The first chance there's nothing else. The first chance you're disappointed about the speed of your results. The first chance you're literally starving and somehow the only thing you have is that thing that's been sitting there tempting you for like 3 months. And it might be stale as hell, right? But it's still something about it's like, I really could go for that, right? That's the power food has over us. And you don't get rid of it by just growing a set and suddenly not caring. Like you don't get rid of it by sheer willpower and determination, like the internet's trying to make you feel. You're not a scumbag because you can't just simply avoid things. So what's my whole point to this whole long spiel? Throw it out. Throw it out. Go donate it to a shelter if it's a non-perishable or it's wrapped. Go give it to a homeless person if you see them on your commute. Do whatever it is that you have to do, but don't justify a reason to keep it. It's ridiculous. And I'm not saying this to be like, that's ridiculous. I'm saying it because Nobody cares about throwing out leftovers at a restaurant, like if they're not going to actually eat it, right? I mean, I definitely take home my leftovers and let them go rancid in the fridge before I throw it out because I feel bad. But let's say that the leftovers were a slice of freaking cake from a birthday party. Would I be like, I have to take it home, I can't let it go to waste? Or would I be like, I don't want, I'm out, I'm not bringing cake, you know? So don't think of it as like, oh, but I can't, like, that's actually good food. Get rid of it. It's not serving you. It's not helping you in the least. It's not better for your body. Let's see the comments real quick. I stopped buying anything tempting, and now hubby is in on the, yay, that's amazing. That is huge. Cereal, my kid eats the damn cereal, my kryptonite. We'll discuss some strategies, but none of them are going to be particularly awesome feeling. But at the end of the day, if you're able to have that in your house and not eat it, that's different, even though it kind of sucks. If it's something where you're like, I got a cupboard full of candy just waiting for me to crawl into the second things go a little bit shitty, that's a different story. It's so tempting. Our house has multiple people in it. I'm always looking at food. We'll get into it. Don't worry. My boyfriend will eat and try most of what I eat, but he always wants something I shouldn't have. Most of the time, it's not that bad, but sometimes it's hard. He got a milkshake the other day, and I wanted to slap it out of his hand. How do we get our families? I'm going to get into that for sure. There might be a revolt. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm going to tell you guys the best way to do it. I'm going to tell you the way I would recommend you to do it. But in no way is it going to feel awesome or be some magic pill that's going to make everything better or be the only time you'll have to repeat yourself. But I first want you guys to get okay with the idea that food can be addictive, but not physically. It can be addictive socially. It could be addictive in how easily you see it in our pop culture, in movies, in commercials, in whatever, where all these images of these like skinny, fun looking women that are like having a great time or just eating and drinking whatever the hell they want. And they're right. That's not reality. I want you guys to remember that you're not just doing this because you got a pageant coming up or you want to sport a thong on the beach in a few months. Like nobody's doing this because we got a photo shoot coming up in France, We're doing this because we want to friggin' be around. We want to be around for the people we love. We want to be able to do things around the house, to go on vacations with the people we love, to be able to go to the gym for friggin' enjoyment if you want. Notice how I said if you want. I don't understand. I don't enjoy the gym. But to each their own. You want to not be winded after a flight of stairs. And you guys, let me tell you something, you freaking deserve to. Like more importantly than wanting to, you deserve to live your life like that. So in the grand scheme of things, it might suck to want accommodations, but if you're willing to do whatever it is you have to do to be around for your family, it is not, repeat after me, it is not selfish to expect the same commitment in return. If you're working so hard to be the best you, to be around, to have fun with, to make memories with, to be healthy, and to be mobile and not miserable and love yourself and all this amazing stuff, to not have your hormones spiking where you want to friggin' rip someone's heart out for breathing too heavy, for wanting to have energy, to not need to sleep as soon as you get home from working all day so you have time for yourself and your family. All of those things, they're not selfish. So asking for accommodations is not selfish. It's a little bit of contribution from the people that you're working so hard for. So this touching home a little bit, and now I'll explain how to do it without being like a total drag or a bitch. But is that philosophy touching home for you guys and really like, Because when I had to learn that, and I learned that my embarrassment for, I got kicked out. Someone called me and I got kicked out. Okay. When I got over that embarrassment of needing to be the girl that needed accommodations, everything changed. First of all, nobody looked at me any differently, like I thought they were. Even if they made little annoyed comments or whatever, and I will tell you what these comments were, but even if they made little annoyed comments or whatever, no one disowned me. No one humiliated me, kicked me out of their house, told me they hated me, cried and burst into flames. Like, you know, life went on. They were just like, really? And I was like, really? And then that was it. You know, so a lot of it is just our own fear of how we will be treated when we finally ask for accommodations. And it's the embarrassment we put on ourselves for asking for accommodations. So what does this conversation look like with people? I'm going to be completely blunt and to the point, and I hope no one gets upset with me, but I know I wish I had somebody telling me this stuff back in the day, okay? If you're someone who's saying that something sugary or something very unhealthy, just by any standards, right? And you're like, yeah, but I feel bad keeping my kids from it. I want you to then realize the problem is how you're viewing the food. The problem is that it's a right that you would want, like you feel like it's deserved almost because it's delicious. But for yourself having it, you're full of shame. Your child is developing, growing. Their brain is still growing, forming, all this stuff. If anything, that momentary deliciousness, it's not you being a bad person keeping that from them because you want to find ones to replace those things with that are still delicious, but still are helping them the way you're helping yourself, right? You're not the ogre of a mom because you say no. You know, you're not an asshole who's depriving your kid of delicious foods and snacks, you know, like how mean mommy or whatever. How many of us in here were on a diet since 8 years old, honestly? You know, I've been getting comments made to us about our weight and things like that. And now we don't, well, I mean, I can't talk for myself yet, but the moms in here, I know you guys have never done that to your children. You would never make them feel bad for their size or anything like that, right? You're not a bad parent because you want to give your kid the best. Oh my God, who keeps calling me? It's going on Do Not Disturb. I got the 10 and I mean the XS, and I can't get used to the menus. The hell do I do Not Disturb? Okay. Hopefully people stop calling me. Now, you're not a bad mom for wanting to give your kids the best, right? And that'll help you with that selfish feeling. Because when you set the standard of like, no, I know that it's not like, yeah, I wish I could be eating the same stuff you are. Like, it's great, but it's not the greatest for you. So it's a treat. It's occasional. It's a privilege, not a right. You know, that doesn't make you a mean mom. It means that you're making the hard choice for you and also for the people you love. Now, in terms of like significant others, I don't freaking know. Like, it's hard. It's hard. But what you could do is set boundaries. And what I mean by that is say, you know, I got to be real with you. And it's embarrassing to admit this, but it's very hard on me when that stuff is around. And I don't want to feel embarrassed being like, I can't have that around me. But it's a real drag. I'm getting used to eating this way. I'm feeling a lot better. And it's just, it makes it a lot more difficult having it around. So if you could eat that stuff, just not right in front of me. Or if you could keep that stuff in your car, in the room, it won't be forever. This is the important part. This won't be forever. Like, you're never allowed to have food in front of me. But until it becomes a habit and I feel secure in it, if you could help me by just keeping it out of my sight for now while I'm learning, that would really help me. If any of your significant others asked you that, how would you reply? Tell me in the chat. If any of your significant others said to you, I know it's inconvenient, but it's very, very hard on me. So if we could just keep this out of sight for now while I'm learning, and then when I feel secure and strong in it and I'm like, you know, it's no big deal, then of course, right? We're so much harder on ourselves. And the people who love us in our lives do want to be told how they can help. That's the other thing. Think about when you work at a job, right? And you have two scenarios. One scenario is you have no idea how to impress or please your manager or your boss. You have no idea what you're doing, how you could please them or make them happy. And then you have another scenario where your boss tells you exactly what to do each day and how they would like it done. Now, obviously not in a micromanaging way, but like they map it out for you. What scenario would you feel the most comfortable at? capable at and feel at ease going to every day. The job where you have no idea what's expected of you, or the job where it's mapped out for you and you have a plan on how to do it. We get so afraid when we're directing people, when we are telling our partners exactly what it is we need, because we don't want them to take it wrong, or we don't want it to seem like we're asking for too much, or we're inconveniencing them, or we're doing anything that's not attractive and alluring to them. And that's normal. I'm not saying that's that's like a sex thing, or, you know, that's just everybody. The people you care about their opinions. You don't want to be like off-putting or too, excuse me. I almost just choked on my own spit. It's been a day. But at least I didn't start choking. That usually happens right away. So, you know, you're really telling them what they can do to help you. The people who love you want to do right in your eyes. Like they want to make you happy. They would love to do something that would make your life a little easier. Or if you want to break it down this way, if you could tell your significant other exactly what to do for you to be in the best mood ever all the time, do you think they'd be like, nah? Or do you think they'd be like, please tell me how you can be in a great mood all the time? Who wouldn't want to be with someone who's in a great mood all the time, you know? So reframe your thinking of what's worth you asking for, okay? So that's the first thing. And eventually, if you keep dedicating yourself to making these yummy different meals, which I'm going to give you some tips on how to do it intuitively, but you keep cooking really great, it's yummy, everyone's into it, you think that your significant other is going to continue being like, let's make 3 different dinners. Or you think if they take a few bites and they're like, that's really good, they're not just going to be like, make some extra for me. So it might be right away, they might be a little weirded out, like, I don't want to go on a diet with you. But then in time, when you're just like, try this, and they're like, this is really good. I mean, it becomes what I'm hoping to teach you guys. And that's, why wouldn't I eat like that? Which is the whole point of intuitive eating is, well, why wouldn't I just eat like that? So that is the key. Oh, wait, before I get into the next part, Lisa, this is a good question. I would, of course, help them, but what about the significant others that are being a little too helpful? Okay, so the ones that are like criticizing and judging every bite you put in your mouth and being like, should you be eating that? Like, I don't know if it's that extreme, but is that what you're getting, what you mean? Yeah. So in that case, it's still a boundary, right? And you always want to do something called the Oreo method. This is my favorite way to bring up anything that's kind of hard to talk about. So hold on. Oreo method. You're going to Oreo together a compliment plus a criticism or a boundary, whatever, something harder to talk about. And then either something positive. My God, why can't I type? Posi/compliment. Okay, you're going to sandwich the hard to talk about thing between 2 nice things, basically. So what that would look like is, I love how you want me to succeed, and I appreciate you holding me accountable because I know you mean well, but I need to make these choices for myself. Or you could be like, when you say those things, it makes me feel like you don't believe I can do this on my own or whatever. But when you do that, it's important. I'll write that in a sec. So, but I need to make these choices for myself. Thank you for trying to help, but please trust my judgment a little more, or let Michelle help. It's good too if you want to mention also, like, I don't want to resent you. It's easier for Michelle to tell me like what I should and shouldn't be eating. It's hard because, you know, because it is. It's always hard. When you have a partner who's making comments about how you're eating and stuff like that, it feels personal. And you're just like, well, you just think I'm a piece of crap then, right? Like, you know, even though they're just like, no, I was just asking how many carbs are in that. You know, like, so they don't even realize a lot of times that it's coming across like they're not believing in you because they're just trying to help. So Oreoing it kind of softens the blow a bit, and it doesn't make it seem like you're attacking them or mad at them. It just seems like you're like, I love what you're doing here, but I just don't need you to. And that's always received better. Now, when it comes to telling someone how they make you feel, if you wanted to do this approach, you can do, when you blank, it makes me feel blank. That is the way, if I could recommend to everybody, that's how you start a convo when it comes to expressing yourself, because the minute you seem accusatory or defensive, the other person gets defensive because that's not, their intentions were good. So if you want to inform someone that what they're saying is actually not helping you, the best way, even if you're feeling emotional about it and you want to get snippy, I get it, is to use this formula, which is, you know, when you pay too much attention to what I'm eating, I don't think you mean it, but it makes me feel like you don't believe in me, and I don't like, you know, having someone watching what I'm doing all the time. Something like that. When you blank, it makes me feel blank, and throw in there that you're sure they didn't mean to. This is my key to handling that without feeling like the sensitive girl that can't take the comments because she's like upset about her body, you know, because I never want to be that girl. So I will save this and post in the comments when I post a recording. Okay, so intuitive eating, and I will go back through the chat, so keep writing in there if you have any questions and stuff. So intuitive eating, the thing that trips people up at first with switching around the way they eat is the idea of just jumping in. It just becomes this weird, don't even know how to describe what's overwhelm that is just like water on the motherboard. I don't know what to eat. Like, I got nothing in my fridge. The whole day was shit because I don't have my dinner in my fridge ready to go, right? Does anybody ever experience this? And that's like, why is this so hard for me? This shouldn't be so hard. I have to get better. I hear that probably 15 times a day. I have to get better at something. So the thing I want to convey to you guys is learn the concept behind the diet tweaks that we go over in private. And what that means is, what's the point of making these changes? Because it's going to be different for all of you. Some of you guys, it's because you didn't eat enough and you've never listened to your hunger cues. Some of you guys, it's because you just don't know how to cook and you want to. You know, some of you guys, you just don't know what it is that you want to eat, you know, but you have to stay gluten-free or you have to stay lower carb. Everybody has different carb limits in here based on your body. But my point to that is learn what your basic parameters are and start only buying those ingredients to cook. Because just like you got accustomed to having some kind of a frozen veggie and having pasta and having things like that, and your family got accustomed to that, having staples in your fridge that are the same concept where you just throw stuff together that by nature are gluten-free or low carb or whatever it is that your plan is. If you just have that around, then that's just going to be what you make. You know what I'm saying? So then the breakdown becomes, I don't know what to go shopping for. So if that's the case, I want you to think back to, what did you usually do for dinner and lunch before this program? And if that's, I would get takeout, what would you get? Start thinking of different versions of whatever it was you were doing before, right? If you cooked dinner before and you had your default 3 meals, 4 meals, whatever that you would cook and circulate throughout the week, your job should be figure out a dish that you can make that you like, that's quick and easy, that has the components that help you, like according to our plan we figured out. You know, figure out some veggies you like to have frozen on hand. Figure out a dough that you really like. and know that that's a standby. So let me give you an example. Yesterday we had steak. We had some leftover. Today we took only dough. Instead, we have provolone in the fridge because someone brought it for the barbecue over the week. So I was like, let's try a provolone. So we sliced the steak thin, put the provolone. I put different seasonings than usual in there, flipped it over, and baked it. We have the same ingredients for salads and veggies, and we change it up. Some days we use cheese on it, and we do just butter, cheese, salt. Great. Garlic powder. Some days we do, you get what I'm saying? We have our basics. And we tweak little things depending on what we're in the mood to taste that day. But what we make is pretty standard. It's pretty much a meat and a veggie and a meat and a salad, a meat and some kind of dough. You know, it's pretty standard. So figure out your core meals, because once you figure out your go-to easy dinner, you can then play around with what vegetable you put in it, what cheese you use, what seasonings you use, which is kind of the premise behind like meat of the week. We prep a lot of leftover ingredients that we carry over into the next day. It's the same concept, is make it easy on yourself. If you know how to throw things together and you basically have ingredients that align with our program we figured out for you, what else is there going to be to make? So you're probably all like, this sounds so simple. This is too simple. The hard part is in learning in thinking about what you did before. And if it's just running around like a chicken with your head cut off and just kind of figuring it out as you go, that's the thing that led you here. So stop looking for it to be the same feeling, if that's the case, where you were just a hot mess before, right? And you're just like, I don't know, whatever was on the way home from day to day. You know, if you're just starting from the ground right now and figuring out what you like to eat, don't beat yourself up if it's not easy. You're trying to get on a routine, which is hard for like any person ever. Now you're factoring in food. Some of you guys have families to feed as well. You know, of course it's hard. So cut yourself some freaking slack, but figure out your core meals that you can judge accordingly. Okay. Another thing is think about the ingredients, right? The easiest thing to do this with is low carb. You know the basic things that have carbs in it by now, unless you're new and we're still working together. So if you go to a fast food place, right? You want to think, or let's do this. You go to the mall. There's a food court. Don't ever go to Rockaway, New Jersey food court. That's just something you should know. Don't ever go there. It's disgusting. But I'm going to use this example because, so Chinese place there, right? They have the Sakura or whatever it is. They have like the stir-fry chicken and veggies and whatever, and the delicious rice. So let's say you're stuck there. You have to pick something. Everything else is a sandwich or French fries, right? So you go to Sakura. You say, I want extra veggies, sauce on the side, extra meat. And you replace it with quantity, because it is a big pile of like stir-fry veggies and chicken. And you know that if you want, you can eat the whole damn thing. Like you don't have to think about this. You can just eat it. Isn't that so much more enjoyable than getting like a half a foot long at Subway that you're going to like save the other half for later and still feel like crap about? You know? So start thinking like a puzzle. It's not that you're saying no to all the good, easy stuff. It's that now you're going to find things that if you just think a little bit about them and learn a little bit about them, you could have a lot more fun. It could be a lot more delicious. You'll feel a lot more fulfilled. It's just about thinking differently. It's not about saying like that stuff's bad. It's just about saying, I'd rather eat like this. Why wouldn't I eat like this? That's the whole goal. No sweat. Why wouldn't I? I mean, this is delicious. Why wouldn't I have this? That's the mindset to have when it comes to food. Obviously, we can't get into like the nitty gritty on here all together with you guys, but on our private calls, I want to hear this week what you're thinking about all of this. If it's because for me, it was one of those, this is so silly simple that it can't possibly be a big deal. And once I started adopting it and just living my life and stopped freaking out because I basically stuck to ingredients that didn't hurt me, that's when the weight came off. Honestly, when I stopped giving a crap about how long it took for the weight to come off, and I just committed every day to eating foods that help me feel the best. Why wouldn't I eat like this? That is the concept. So let's see here. I need to find a way to get, or let me scroll up. And I want to hear your guys' perspective on this. I want to hear what you guys, what stuck with you guys, what kind of connected with you. What do you want me to elaborate on a little bit more? You know, I love hearing feedback. Okay. My mom used to and still is so judgmental towards me and my appearance. Don't be afraid to speak up in that time too. There's nothing wrong with, and this is the best way I've found to disable somebody who's nitpicking you, is just don't put your hand in their face, but just lean, like push back a little, put your hand up and go, can we not make comments about my size? That's it. That's it. Simple. No one's going to be like, I mean, unless someone's really mean-spirited, you know, they wouldn't be like, no, I'm just saying you're big. Like, nobody would be like a jerk like that, you know? Most people are caught off guard. When you put them in their place like that, and you're like, can we not talk about my size? They're just like, oh, I'm sorry, typically. If it's someone who's comfortable with you, they may push a little bit. But what you could say is, no, I don't want to talk about my size. You just got to keep repeating that. Don't defend yourself. Don't get into an argument with them. Don't get emotional. Just, no. We're not talking about my size. Usually people just drop it and then they don't try you again. It's interesting. It's very simple. But like when you feed into it and you get upset is when people want to have a convo about it, which is like the last thing you want to do in that situation. Both mental and physical. I would do whatever I could to help with his health, both mental and physical. I did it before when his A1C hit 6, and now he's back down to 5.4. Diabetes mumbo jumbo, everybody. It's an inside joke. But Lisa Miller, I would help them. Okay, we went over that. I need to find a way to get my husband to understand that carbs are not the answer to everything. My husband gets some carbs at breakfast and lunch, but if he doesn't get them at dinner, he freaks and is like, I need carbs. My body needs it throughout the day. Oh, wait, that's right. Hubby's hypo. Okay, got it. So I think maybe gear it towards carbs are necessary when you need them. You know, like, so for example, and you were taught this too, right? When you eat the peanut butter crackers when you run a low, because it's got protein and carbs in it. It's not just the carbs that do the magic. It's just the fact that you're taking in a little bit of carb, and the idea is to take it with a protein so it lasts. So I would start saying, how about we test this out? I know it's scary. You know, I know how it feels to run a low and it's terrifying. But how about we test out giving you something where you can eat a little more of it and you feel satisfied because it's got more protein and maybe a little bit less carb. And if you're still low, I'll shut up. You can have your carbs. Because then I think he'll see it and he'll see that he'll be okay rather than being scared that he'll run a low or something like that and, you know, dreading that feeling. I think that'll help for sure. If I'm ever in Jersey. Yeah, don't go to the Rockaway Mall. Don't go to Sakura, Japan at the Rockaway Mall. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. So I'm standing there in line, right? And you ever see bugs in a public place and you're like, you do a double take because you're like, there's no way it could be this out and like loud, like right there, right? Yeah. So they were like 4 or 5, probably thumb-sized roaches walking across the counter and like the top of the case with the food, like over the grill. I start freaking out and I'm like, are you kidding? Like I got so mad. Like, does no one see this? Like, where are we? And one walks down by the register and I'm like, I'm not ordering from here. Like, you should be shut down. And he goes like this with his hand and crushes it and scoots it off. He goes, so what's your order? And I was like, I'm out of here. My sister still bought something. I could have killed her. I almost didn't drive her home that day. I was like, you're nasty. She's like, it's protein. So anyway, I hope you all enjoy that parting gift. But don't go to the Sakura, Japan and Rockaway, New Jersey Mall. So I love the challenge of picking apart on it. Yeah, girl. Picking apart a menu, meals on a menu to be non-carb friendly, but still yummy. So a good one is if you're at like pretty much any restaurant, you can just order a meat or an entree. This goes for fancy events or whatever too, or weddings, whatever, catering halls. Ask for the meat with no sauce or seasoning, extra veggies. Make sure there's butter at the table and salt. Maybe ask for a little hot sauce if they got it. And you could just put butter, salt, pepper, hot sauce. Make your own seasoning. It's fine. It's still delicious. And you don't know, God knows what they put back there. You know, a lot of times they have like tricks of the trade in restaurants that pile on extra stuff that isn't really necessary. Any veggie, of course. A lot of sauces can be made without flour. If you're afraid of being like, is this gluten-free? What you could do is say, is this floured? Does this use flour as a thickener? And that's an easy answer. And it's not asking them to accommodate you. You're just asking for knowledge. Is like, is this floured? So people are less likely to be like, ugh. But even if they are, ew, enjoy your food. Don't worry about them. Eat more of what's good for you. Enjoy it. I do that with my zesty green beans all the time. I love green beans so much. I love baked potatoes. Yesterday I had a little bit of potato with potato salad. My mother-in-law makes it, but she makes it with like vinegar and garlic. And it's just so good. Lettuce wrapped bacon. Yep. Perfect. Any fast food place. I still struggle with what spices go well together because my family always cooked so blandly. Also, any ideas on Lido honey walnut shrimp? Okay, this is a good question. So you can recreate any dish knowing the lower carb version of the components. So for the, what is that? Honey walnut shrimp. I've never had it, so I'm not going to give you like, I'm probably going to butcher it. But for example, find a good sugar-free maple syrup, right? As silly as that sounds. You can add some lemon to it for tartness. A good thing to mix, to remember, is to know the kinds of flavors that there are. Sour, then they're sweet. Sour, spicy, salty. Am I forgetting one? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Whatever. Oh. Acidic, which isn't always the same thing as sour, believe it or not. So acidic is more so like lemon, vinegar, things like that. Salty, you want to make sure your stuff's well salted. Spicy in little amounts, even if you don't like spice, the taste of pepper really is like a good play on everything. But if you can mix a little bit of each of these things into like a soup or something like that, they may seem like, oh, it's going to be too much. They play off each other really well. So once you start picking up on what falls into what category, like pepper, spicy, salty, I use garlic salt or regular salt. Sweet could be cream cheese, a little bit sweet, believe it or not. Sometimes lemon can be sweet. You can use orange if you're into that, whatever. But mixing little bits of these flavors, the only way for you to learn what pairs well with each other that you like, because everybody has such different tastes, would be to experiment. So something good you can try out, start experimenting with microwave bread, flavoring it with different oils or seasonings in the batter, you know, cocoa powder with different sweeteners, strawberry with stuff. Experimenting is the best way you're going to find, because I use the same seasonings. They're my favorites. They work really well with everything. And I'll just tell you what they are. I use gluten-free soy sauce. You guys have seen this in my book and on the page, I'm sure. I love Louisiana hot sauce. It's, in my opinion, the only hot sauce that matters. I like sesame oil and seeds. Fun bonus, it affects hormones really well. Sesame is like a really great hormone balancer, especially if you have like your estrogenic hormones are kind of out of whack. Garlic salt. And some kind of acid. So either lemon or usually I love lemon on stuff, but when it comes to dressings and sauces, I use apple cider vinegar. Oh, for God's sake, I can't type today. There. Then oil or whatever. But this combo of flavors is what I stick with. I marinate stuff in it. Sometimes I'll add, like, if I have some Old Bay seasoning, I'm like, sure, throw it in there. There's the Frank's Red Hot Buffalo powder I have. Throw it in there. Once you stop fearing that you're going to do bad, you'll like everything you make. Because I literally slop stuff together and it turns out fine. It's just once you get a feel for like what these things taste like, you'll start to find your own personal preferences for mixtures. But don't be afraid to test stuff out. I hope that answered. How do I get back to the screen now? Okay. I really want to try this walnut shrimp now. I feel like ridiculous that I'm on the phone at the pizza place talking to 4 different dudes trying to figure out is the chicken is fried. And is your umami flavor, Heather, are you responding umami to the roach story? Because it's gross, girl. No, I'm just kidding. Rach, so yeah. I feel ridiculous too. I can't wait for that exchange to be over every single time. So I feel you. But at the end of the day, I get my food that I like and I get it to my specifications. You know, it's about, that's the part that I mentioned in the beginning about the shame associated with even needing these accommodations to be made for you because you don't want to be that guy. Stop being afraid to be that guy because you're going to feel so much better when you're where you want to be. And it sucks that we have to deal with this when a lot of other people just can have a normal restaurant experience. But eventually you learn what restaurants fry the chicken and which don't. Eventually you start feeling a lot better where you're like, I don't even know you, so I don't care if you think I'm ridiculous. You know, you start just feeling better and living your life, and it will come in time. But it is, I want you to know, 100% normal to get frustrated and be like, why? Why can't I just eat the chicken however the hell it's made? Because I feel that way sometimes too. It is what it is, you know? But definitely figure out the places you don't have to talk to 4 different people to figure out if the chicken is grilled or fried. I've had some funny to-go stories for sure of like people not understanding me and it being loud and busy in there and like getting hung up on. It's always so much fun. Okay, so this recording will be up on the page. I wanted to tell you guys tomorrow, look out for a graphic in the page about the weekly exercise challenge. So I have not figured out what I want to give away. So I'm still taking, if you guys want, if you have ideas, anything you want to do for a giveaway, right? The idea is going to be the same. I'm going to have every week, there's going to be a graphic put up of what the exercise of the week is and like the amount that I'm challenging you to do, right? And there's going to be 3 tasks. And that's how I will know that you did your challenge for the week. Okay, so keep an eye out for that tomorrow. The person who completes these tasks in the comments of the thread, be a person who does that the most at the end of the month, similar to the meat of the week, you'll get the giveaway prize. All right, so keep an eye out, but I'm asking you guys if you could recommend to me what you'd ideally like me to give away. I won't think you're like a ridiculous spoiled brat and be like, ew. So just help me out because I don't know what the hell to pick. I'm the most indecisive human in the world. All right. And if you guys have any questions, if you want me to elaborate, I plan on elaborating on this in our private calls just for the sake of time. But please don't hesitate to reach out and tell me what really helped you think differently. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Bye.